and so that everybody else can watch it later. People who are busy. So wonderful, wonderful. Who would consider themselves a beginning knitter?
Me. I
Me.
am a newbie. New beginner.
Teresa, have you knitted at all? Have
Yes.
you
I
you've
do
done
know the
some knitting?
basic knit and purl stitches. I know that, but beyond that, no.
Okay. Now who's speaking? I'm missing.
It's V Morand, Victoria.
Oh, there. I see. Okay, excellent. So you know how to knit and purl, but beyond that, you don't know a lot.
Right.
And Andrea or Andrea is a beginner. Excellent, excellent. Well,
I'm a
this is
beginner,
and Teresa's a beginner.
but I have knitted. I know I had to go to the YouTube channel to see what the yarn for, why, what that meant, but I was able to do it.
The yarn over, right?
Yeah, the yarn
Right.
over. Yeah.
Andrea is correct. Okay, good. I'll try to remember. It's always nice to have people remember your name the way it's meant to be. Meant to be pronounced. Okay. You answered to both. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about where everybody is. Maybe you can hold up and I'll show you where I am and what's going on. I'm still admitting people. And then we'll start answering questions. You can raise your hand and there's a button to push if you know how to do that in a Zoom group to raise your hand, and I'll take you in the order that I see you. You can put a message in the chat and I will go through and answer questions to the best of my ability as we go through the chat. And I won't let you leave until you've had your question asked and I've at least attempted to answer it, and I'm pretty sure that we can get it all together from there. So that's kind of the format. Let me
I
start
got lost somehow.
Are you here?
No, I got lost somehow. I'll come back.
If you leave and come back, I'll admit you again.
Thank you. There I am.
There you are. So excellent. So let me start by asking where everyone is. Has everyone started, or are some people ready to cast on? Oh, there, Becky.
Oh,
very
my goodness.
nice.
Very nice, Becky. I'm ready to cast on. I did my gauge and it's too small. So am I knitting too tight?
Let me see your gauge a little closer. What kind of stitch did you do? It's hard. It's hard to.
I just knitted.
Okay.
I'm working on circular needles, so I just did back and forth knit. What kind of stitch was I supposed to do?
Okay, it says, and it's really subtle, so it might be hard to miss, but the very first page of your pattern starts out saying the gauge is 12 stitches and 16 rows equals 4 inches over pattern, over PATT, which means over the pattern that we knit the sweater in. So when you knit your gauge, you need to knit those two rows that create the pattern, which is knit one, yarn forward, knit one, yarn forward, and then on the next row, you'll turn it over and purl, dropping the yarn overs. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute. I've got a little swatch here that I started a few minutes ago to show you. So
Pam?
yes.
So
Lisa.
when you measure the gauge, and the number of stitches, you're not counting the dropped yarn forwards.
Well, you're just counting the stitches that you cast on. I would wait until after you knit a purl row before I would count. Only
but we don't knit, we don't count the yarn forward as a stitch. Just the ones
That's
you
cor-
cast
that's
on.
correct.
Okay, that's what I
So-
thought. Okay.
Yes. So let me switch the camera. Maybe that's where we need to go directly.
I mean, I know, you're waiting for questions, but I thought maybe if you could just give an overview for the project, because I didn't know whether we were supposed to start it or not. I'm just doing my gauge.
There's-
But
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
you could just like
There's
explain the project.
Yeah, there's no supposed tos when
Really?
since then
They're
no there's
ripping everything out.
there's no supposed tos when we do a knit along. You can here, I'll switch back to me so you're not talking to Simon. You don't have to do anything. Sometimes when we do knit alongs, people they will start the project if they feel comfortable, and they'll move right along. Everybody's at a different speed. If they don't know anything, sometimes they just kind of audit it and sit here and watch for a little while until they feel comfortable starting it. That's why we'll have a couple of these. That way, if you're behind next week, we can get you caught up and even maybe talk about the same things again if you need to.
Okay.
There's no have to or supposed to. When you knit a project, just in general, especially if it's a sweater, usually on shawls, I don't knit gauges. Depending on if I want to see how the fabric is draping, perhaps I do. But sweaters, you pretty much always have to knit a gauge. I would never knit a sweater without knitting a gauge swatch first. And this gauge swatch they tell you very subtly, but they do tell you to knit it over the pattern. So what is the pattern? The pattern is created with 2 rows of knitting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, 2 rows of knitting. And the first is this kind of a stitch. I started it here.
Okay.
But you knit 1 stitch, you yarn over, you knit the next stitch, yarn over, knit, yarn over, and you just keep doing that until you're at the end of the row.
Could you show it in the other style of knitting?
Oh, now you're asking. I am a left-handed knitter, a
Oh my
left-handed
goodness.
thrower, and so I've taught myself in the last year to knit continental right-handed. So let's see. I'm not going to do a very good job of showing you the other way, but let's see. So you would hold the yarn in this hand. You would do this, but because I've been knitting continental, I've got to go through the back stitch. But
Right.
normally you would take it from the front leg, but my stitch is twisted from knitting continental. And throw it. Take it off. Oops,
And then
I
pull
got-
that yarn. That,
So-
yeah.
sorry, I got so mixed up with the throwing. I forgot to do the yarn over. Okay, there's the yarn over. Now, here's my stitch. Yarn over.
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. You are very welcome. I am here to help.
Knit 1, yarn forward, repeat.
Pam, I have a very, very basic question here. What cast on do you suggest?
Yeah.
So I love for almost all projects to use the long tail. Are you familiar with that? Oh, let me let
Yep.
somebody in here. Are you familiar with that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I just used the long tail. This morning I did the same thing. That's how I cast this on right here is by using the long tail. It's firm and there's a little bit of stretch to it.
Yes.
Gosh, I love this yarn though. It has a little bit of stretch, a little bit of that little bit of nylon in with that cotton is giving it a little bit of stretch and a little bit of elasticity that 100% cotton yarn doesn't have. This is very lovely yarn. So here we are almost to the end.
No, we're not.
And then we get to the end of this row here. And oh my gosh, we've got double the stitches, right? We got all these stitches. What do we do with them? Here they are. A regular stitch and a yarn over, a regular stitch and a yarn over. And there we go. All these stitches. So turn your work. Can be a little tricky to start this first stitch. Purl your stitch. And then you just drop this stitch off the needle. Purl.
Makes no
Whoops,
sense.
I think I was talking and I didn't have a drop stitch there, so we'll pretend. Purl. Drop that stitch off the needle. Purl. Drop.
Well, yay.
Yay.
Drop.
Beautiful.
To the end. So
It's so simple, and yet you look like you've just done something really difficult.
See, my yarn overs don't take up as much vertical space as yours do. Like it just looks like, this is just my cast on, but it just looks like knits.
Well, keep going a couple more rows. I did some garter stitch here before I started going into the pattern.
purl to the end, drop all.
I have a
So purl and then drop the stitch. Yes, question.
okay. It's when we do our knit row, do we end with a knit
Knit.
stitch, correct?
Yeah, you
Not-
end with
Mhm.
a knit, not a yarn over.
Okay, so when we go back to purl, is there going to be a drop stitch after each purl? When I was practicing,
Yes.
I feel like mine's in a pattern. Like there's two, there'll be a purl and then I'll drop the stitch. And then it's like there's two purls and then another stitch. But there's supposed to be one after each purl stitch.
Yeah,
Correct.
if you have two purls in a row like I did back here at the beginning of this row,
That's
Uh-huh.
what I have.
it meant that I forgot to put a yarn over in between. It was a
Okay.
mistake.
That's why I'm not trying to work on it here, because I can't concentrate, because I think, did I yarn over or did I just knit?
Yeah,
then I
no, and
pull it
that's fine.
Start over again.
Yeah, no,
Well-
and that's perfectly fine.
And let me just say that when you're on that purl row, sometimes your yarn overs get moved inadvertently in front of the stitch. So you just have to be really careful that
Okay.
when you're purling the guy that is a stitch. Because again, I have to move
Right.
my yarn overs and lay them all out even before I start that row. I've learned that the hard way.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you-
is that okay? So if you're not, so you really shouldn't be a tight knitter.
I would say don't be a tight knitter, no.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't see who was saying that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, it happened to me several times while I was just knitting this row. And well, maybe I'll do another row and when it happens, because it inevitably does, I just have to give a little tug right here at the stitch, and then they kind of
Mhm.
fall apart like they're supposed to.
Um,
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
really good point.
Thank
So
you.
what if you forget to do a yarn over? Is there a way to fix that?
No,
No, rip it out.
Yeah, there is
You got to rip back. Okay.
yeah, there's absolutely no way to fix it, because
Okay.
there's
Should know
just
that.
it's a gap that this is creating that
Right.
it just will not be there. Now somebody
Okay.
said that their yarn overs didn't create as big of a drop as mine. So who said
Yeah.
that?
Lisa.
Oh, okay, Lisa. Lisa, can you explain a little bit more what you mean by that?
Well, see how I can see your knit stitches and what's at the top there. Those are your dropped stitches, right?
Um, these right here,
Yeah.
these are the drops.
Right. So mine is, this is just my cast on, but it just looks like,
Okay, hold on, let me
oh,
get
see if I can
you.
hold it to my camera. See, it's
Just hold on
like,
1 minute. I'm gonna have to switch the camera and get you on it. Hold on.
okay.
I will. Just takes a minute here. Here you are.
Okay, see,
Okay.
it just looks, I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
I have dropped them, but it doesn't look like it.
oh, there's something you're not, yeah, there's something you're not
Something
doing
wrong.
right. Yeah, I would say that you're not dropping them. There's just no way that you're dropping them and getting those rows close together.
Hmm.
Let me do it one more time and you watch. Let me do another row
Okay.
and let's have you watch one more time.
I mean, I
If
am
she
definitely
purls a
dropping.
lot more loosely than she knits, then that could account for the stitches not being as different.
If
Well,
I purl more
I
loosely,
suppose, but that
yeah.
just
Yeah.
seems very
Yeah, so if you, because I know some people purl a lot more loosely than they do when they're knitting. So if you make sure to purl, make sure your purls are tight enough and not loose, then you will probably have more of a difference.
Okay, mine looks
I mean,
nothing.
I'm definitely doing yarn forward and dropping them. I mean, this is not stockinette though. It does kind of look like.
Yeah, I suspect that you just do a really loose purl stitch.
Yeah, so I should purl tighter.
Yes.
Okay.
Give that a try and see how it works.
Thank you. Whoever said that, that's probably it.
okay. Now, does anyone have any questions how to measure their gauge swatch?
Well, one
Uh,
concern,
Sure, show us,
Yes, please.
Mother of God.
Okay. So when you knit a gauge, you know, most of you may know this, but I'll just say it for anyone who doesn't. When you knit a gauge swatch, you always cast on more stitches than what the swatch calls for. This one called for like 12 or something, and 12 stitches, but I cast on, I don't know, what, 21 or something like that, 20. I cast on a bunch more. A lot of times I will edge my gauge swatches also and do a garter, you know, do a garter here, a garter stitch up the edge so that I have a nice square swatch that I can then block and measure the stitches in the middle. So for this, let's see, let's go, let's start. Let's do this. Let's just put a pin here and let's go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I laid it out very loosely. I didn't try to force it one way or another. I just laid it out according to how it sort of falls, right? I did kind of pull that out, but that's just kind of how it falls, and that's probably how it's going to fall when it goes on my body. And then here's 4 inches. So we're right on. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously I'm not up far enough yet, but I would count the rows and do the same thing this direction.
So it should
how
be
would-
4 by 4.
It should be 4 by 4, but I would knit farther than 4. I would probably knit 5
Right.
at least, and I'll probably put another row of garter stitch on it just to kind of give it some structure, particularly because of the loose characteristics of this stitch pattern.
Pam, I mean, I
Yes.
know like on Ravelry, like when people put comments, I mean, the yarn is very stretchable that it came out big. So I know like with your gauge, I understand that you're just letting it lie, but it seems like when you wear it, it would stretch.
Well, that is what's happened to my camera. Hold on a minute here.
I mean, are you finding that people are knitting it true to size and that that's working?
I have talked to people over the years because I have been assisting people with this pattern for several years now and providing it in my shop. Yeah, some people have said that there was a little bit of a problem with it after they wore it for a while. Others have said that they haven't had any problem at all. Part of the beauty is that this cotton, like I said before, it has nylon in it, so it helps it to bounce back to its size, and also it's extremely light. It's not like a cotton, like a dish rag, yarn.
Yeah, I love the yarn. Yeah.
100%. So it doesn't. But do I think that probably when I get this on and wear it, it might stretch out after I've worn it a couple times without washing? Yes, I do. So therefore, I'm going to block it. And blocking helps it remember. It will pull it back in. You can block it by simply pinning it how you want to pin it and steaming it nicely. What I want to do, and hopefully we'll have done before the next session, is an example of how the 2 ways, blocking it wet and blocking and steaming it, and seeing if there's a difference with that, just so that I can let you guys know what that looks like. Yeah, I don't know
We
what
should
else
knit
to say.
our normal size. If we get gauge, we should just knit our
I
normal.
wouldn't knit it big.
No, I'm thinking
No.
of knitting it small.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't knit it large. I would err on the side of knitting it a little bit smaller, but you don't want to go too far that direction either.
Right.
So, just in general, if I'm, like I have received sweaters, like wool sweaters that people have given me that were too small for me, but I wet them and I blocked them super aggressively and I got them to grow, and they're perfect for me now. So you can make it a little bit larger easier than you can shrink it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then so the finished measurements on the pattern, it says to fit bust. So that to fit bust is your actual bust measurement, and then actual bust is what the garment measures. Is that
That is
correct?
correct. That is correct. Yes.
Thank you. This is
Yes,
already
you're welcome.
so helpful.
Yes.
I
Okay,
have a
let's-
beginner question. When
Absolutely.
you're doing the long tail cast on, I have a hard time figuring out how much to leave out for my cast on. And I know that
Sure.
sounds like a beginner question. And
No,
Oh, everyone has
that's why
that
we're
problem.
here. That's totally why we're here. Let me show you. I mean, that's why we're here, is to this is not a, let me do something. Let me break my yarn.
oh no.
Oh yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. I was just knitting a little swatch there for you ladies. Let's see. Do I have some needles sitting here? I have so many knitting needles, they're coming out. Coming out everywhere. Okay, so here's some knitting needles. What size are they? Happen to be size 9s. Oh, I was looking for these this morning. Okay. So when you do the long tail cast on, what I do, there are different ways of doing it, but what I have been doing lately, and it's worked very nicely, is I have simply wrapped the yarn around 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Gave myself a little room. Okay, there's 20 stitches. Okay, there's 40 stitches. And then I start in there, and I am pretty close when that happens. And remember, this loose end of your yarn, it goes toward you. The yarn
Yes.
that's okay, got it. And then I've been pretty on when I do that.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So do
That's
you fold that, is that your start point, or do you fold the part that you've measured out in half?
Well, I however I want to do it. Say 10 ends up, say 10 ends up here. Obviously that's
Yeah.
too short, but it's hard to see with the camera the way it is. Say 10 ends up here. I
Yeah.
usually get at least 20, and then I just undo that portion so that I can do 20 at a time.
But where do you start at the end of your measurement, or do you fold that in half?
Okay, if this is 10,
Yeah.
say this is 10, hold on, somebody else wants to come in. If this is 10, then if I fold it in half here and hang on here, I've got 20, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think she means, where does she begin the cast on?
Where does
Oh,
she
you-
start the slip knot?
You
Yeah.
begin
Yeah.
right here.
Right. Where do you put the slip knot?
You begin right here, and I don't do a slip knot. You can either do it down. I mean, you can do a slip knot. It's perfectly fine. Either way, I just start.
But I mean, yeah, so you start at the end of your measured amount. You
Yeah,
don't
say
toggle that.
say I'd measured all of this, and this was 100 stitches.
Okay.
Then I would stop here where this I got 100 stitches or however many,
Yep.
and then I would just hang
Okay.
on right there. And yeah,
That's my question. Thank you.
yeah.
And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for showing us that. I'm an experienced knitter and I never knew that. And so I often have had to cast on as many as 5 times to get a length that's right.
Me too.
Believe me.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
a question about blocking.
Yes.
When you're talking about blocking a sweater, when you block it, you block each piece, or you wait till you have it all sewn together, then you block it. Is that how it's supposed to
When
be?
you have a sweater that's put together in pieces, I always block the pieces according to the finished sizes in
Oh,
pattern.
okay. Okay.
There are measurements here that tell you for each size what the
Right.
inches should be.
Well, I made a wool sweater and it's too small, which disappointed me greatly. So now I would have to disassemble it and block each piece in order
No,
I could do the
once-
whole. Okay,
Yeah, I would
Okay.
not take it apart if it was already put together. Yeah.
thank
You
you.
soak that sweater nicely, in some tepid, cool water for half an hour or so. Lift it out, put it in a towel, stick it on the floor and step on the towel, whatever, get the
Yeah.
water out. And
Right.
you can really, I would almost guarantee, even without looking at it, that you will be able to make that sweater a lot bigger.
Okay, thank you. That gives me hope. I was pretty upset
Absolutely.
about that.
Yeah.
This is Teresa. I have a quick question back to the long tail cast on. The working yarn should be behind me, away from me, and the shorter end toward me.
Correct.
I'm left-handed, and I think I taught myself to knit right-handed, but I'm a thrower. So I do the long tail cast on, so the short end of my yarn should be, okay, that would be over my thumb because that would be toward me, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I
Thank
have a question. Could you demonstrate on your swatch how I'm at the point to where I'm ready to start my bind offs for the back.
Mhm.
And how is it that you bind off? I know how to bind off on the knit row, but how do I bind off and then I go in pattern? How am I going to bind off when I'm doing the purl side and I've got those yarn overs?
Oh, good question.
Great question. So,
Not really.
let's see. I'm here. Let's see. I'm on the wrong side. I'm going to have to knit through to show you. But
Sorry.
basically, it's I did it, and I actually shot a little video that I'm going to put together. Let me go ahead and knit this row, and I can, if anybody wants to see how the pattern is done again,
I do.
then let me make sure I'm in the middle here. Then you can see how the pattern is done again while I get myself to the other end of the row. Knit one stitch, put the yarn to the front, over the needle to the back, and knit your next stitch.
This is row 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Knit one stitch, you put the yarn to the front, and then you put the yarn to the back. And what that does is, a lot of times, that's a mistake when you're knitting. You will do that by accident when you're learning how to knit, and it's like, oh, I did a yarn over, and it's a bad thing. But in this case, it's a feature of the stitch.
But Pam, your stitches are, oh, maybe because it's facing me, it just looks like they're mounted with the back leg longer.
They're mounted.
I mean, with the
So
back
it's
leg more
crooked
forward.
They are, because I'm knitting continental, and
Oh, okay.
it twists the stitch. So if you're not used to knitting continental, you are correct. Normally, you would knit here. The stitch would be mounted like this.
Oh, but you're knitting through the back, so it doesn't matter.
So normally the stitch would be mounted like this if you were
Right.
knitting, even if you were throwing, and you would grab that leg. But yes,
Right.
you are correct. My stitches are mounted backwards because of my knitting continental.
Oh, but you're knitting through the back loop, so it's the same thing.
So yeah, I'm doing the same thing. They're just mounted
Yeah.
differently. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the garter stitch in the beginning of the swatch.
Isn't it attractive? The garter stitch at the bottom of the sweater is just gorgeous. And people think that they have to knit complex things. It's like, oh, well, all I am is a beginner and I can just do easy things. I'm here to tell you, a beautiful garter stitch in a gorgeous yarn can make,
Yeah.
I've got a cowl in the shop now. It's knitted with a super bulky yarn. It's a total beginner project, and it's all garter stitch. It's absolutely gorgeous. You don't have to be, I feel like I'm on a mission to tell everybody that you don't have to be this super duper amazing knitter to create beautiful, scrumptious things, as long as you're using good quality yarn
Yeah.
and continually improving your ability to knit smoothly, etc. You just don't have to have to fret about that. Let me see if I
Where's
can
your
get my,
shop?
All right.
Where's your shop, Pam?
oh, my shop is wherever you are.
That's why.
It's online, so
Oh, okay.
so it's everywhere. I don't have a brick and mortar, and anyway, I don't have a brick and mortar.
Okay.
So 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 doing the decreases on a purl row, often they'll say do it at the beginning, do three stitch decreases
Right.
at the beginning of the next 2 rows. Well, the first
That-
row, okay, you can do that, right? You decrease and then you start yarning over and doing your knitting. But then when you get to the purl side, you so now I need to decrease 2 stitches, say. So I'll purl my first stitch, drop the yarn over, purl my second stitch. You can drop it now if you want. And then
bind off.
yeah, and then bind off.
Ah,
And it's really complicated for me to do this. For some reason, binding off right-handed is still really hard for me.
So then you just bound off 2 stitches right there.
No, I just bound off
One.
One.
That's-
Okay.
that's
So
one
because
stitch.
that, yeah, and then, all right, then you'll do that guy. And that one you'll draw, and then
Yeah, and
you'll
I'll drop this one. You
there's
can drop
2.
it before or after. It doesn't
Oh, so
matter.
you
And
don't
then
bind
there's-
off, drop
And then
stitch.
there's 2.
Eventually, because I'm so awkward.
So you don't bind off the dropped stitches.
Right.
No.
Okay. Okay.
So there we go. So now I've got, and I'll
Yep.
show you on the sweater that I've done. So now I've got 2 bound off stitches here on my
Right.
purl side
Okay.
row.
So and the pattern calls for 3 bind offs for 2 rows each side, and then you go to 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay.
Right. And so you can do it again. And again, you can bind off before or after you drop this stitch. But just remember,
Oh, okay.
you only bind off the stitches, and then this right here is what it will look
What
like.
it looks like. I'm so excited.
And that's to create the armholes, right?
That's to create the armhole, yeah.
Okay, I'm Mary Ellen and I cannot even cast on my swatch. I'm like having such difficulty. So when
Okay.
you were talking about you did garter stitch at the beginning, then you did 12. So to cast on, if I'm trying to figure out 12 stitches, can I put 4 and 4? That's 20, correct? So I do a garter stitch for 4 stitches. You lost me on the, I always do on the swatch, I always do garter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you always do more. Yeah, you always cast on more. So let's see. I did, and I didn't get really particular with how many
You just did more.
I just did more. I just did more. I did, I think.
So when you do more, you just keep going with the pattern, I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Or you say,
absolutely.
okay, well, where did you, is this the garter stitch down at the bottom?
This is the garter stitch at the bottom. I probably
Okay.
shouldn't have said what I said, but often I will do
Just do a couple rows of garter and then start the pattern.
a few stitches of garter. It would be.
Okay.
Yeah. Often I do that. Not every time. You don't have to be an every time hard and fast rule of knitter.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
This is the first time I did a baby sweater, but it was all, I didn't have to sew it together. It was all one. So this is really new to me, and truthfully, I'm ready to throw in the towel already. So,
no.
but no, that's how I feel. I'm like, I have ripped out my cast on just for my swatch 5 times while you've been talking.
Well, let's
So-
talk this through. Let's talk this through what you're doing. It's number one, it's hard to talk and learn at the same time that you
Right.
are knitting. So let's acknowledge that for starters. Let's do this and then
I don't want to
okay.
hold anybody up. I just, if I
No.
cast on like 20 or 24 stitches, then I should be able to get my gauge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you only need
Okay.
12. You only need to measure over 12.
12, right. So if I do 20 stitches, I can do knit 4, do the row, knit 4th, and I'll still be measuring the center of the gauge. Is that correct?
Absolutely,
Perfect.
100%.
And you don't have
Very
to
good.
and you don't have to do 4 at the beginning or end of the row. You could just do 2 at the beginning or the
Okay.
end of the row.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Sorry. I didn't-
Perfect.
Yep.
No,
Yeah,
I
no.
appreciate it.
That's
Okay,
very
keep
helpful.
going.
No, that's very helpful. This is why we're here.
This is my first garment, so I'm petrified.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm with you.
First of all, there's no okay, so when my daughter was really small, I took her to Disneyland one day, and she and I were at Disneyland, and we were hanging around the restroom or something. We had probably used it, and we were taking a break, just waiting for each other there. And we saw this woman with 3 children at Disneyland, just like running all over the place, and she was trying to corral them. And one of them started crying, and you could tell this poor woman was absolutely at the end of her rope. And she finally very sweetly knelt down to the little toddler in the stroller that was screaming and crying. And she said, honey, she says, there's no crying in Disneyland.
Yeah, amen.
And so I just want to tell to everybody, there's no freaking out or worrying in knitting. It's yarn and it's 2 sticks, and whatever you do is just a-okay. You can't do anything so wrong that it can't be fixed. You can even do it your own way and it's okay. And sometimes wrong ways are, oh, I lost you. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Sometimes wrong ways are even fine too. I just really want to release everyone from the fear of knitting.
Okay.
So
I will say this, I'm up to where you do the sleeves, and if you just relax and just honest to gosh, follow the pattern, pour a glass of wine, whatever, and just chill through it and just breathe. It really, because I was the same way. And I now, like I said, I've already got my back up to the armholes.
There you go.
Overachiever.
Yeah.
I'm still casting on my stupid swatch.
No,
Oh, Lord, help me.
Well, I started before I knew there was going to be a knit along, so I figured I had to figure it out.
That's
I was
fantastic.
shocked when I opened my email. First of all, I was shocked that today was the 17th.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my Lord. And then I saw people talking about, I got on Facebook and I saw people talking about the swatch. I've been frantic all afternoon.
Oh.
You're reassuring me now. Thank you.
Don't be frantic. I haven't touched it yet. I'm just listening.
Good for you. I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. Yeah, a
Mhm.
lot of people do that. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Chris-
I've been knitting. I'm retired. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am
Yes,
I
we can
muted?
hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm retired. I've been knitting since
my.
I'm 9 years old, when my grandmother taught me to knit.
That's your
And this swatch looks so bad. And now I realize why. My
it's not in the
stitches are,
pattern.
well, and it's not because I'm a knitter, like you are, the moderator. I've been knitting through the front loops of all those stitches. I throw with my left hand, and I've done that all my life.
Well,
And-
no. I don't,
Learning.
well, I don't think that you're necessarily doing it wrong. I want to be clear. I want to
But
be
my
clear.
stitches look so much better when I knit through the back loop like you do. I think my stitches have always been
Mounted incorrectly.
yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
now I finally, after all these years, I have learned that's
Oh,
what's wrong.
Eureka.
And that's why my swatch does not look good. I'm so happy I listened to you and I have learned this. So you're never
Where's
too
the
old to
lady
learn.
that has the whole bunch of yarn in a big ball? She was
Yeah.
on
yeah,
here a
I
minute
was,
ago.
Yeah.
I was
Bless your heart, Christine.
here. Hold on,
Oh,
Christine. I'm gonna,
no.
So if you want to feel like you're ahead of the game, if you've already got your yarn balled, you're good.
Oh, my.
I put mine over the back of a chair and just go
Yeah.
round and
I
round and
did
round
too.
and round.
I use 2 chairs.
Ah,
They're backed
oh,
up.
that's what's
So
wrong.
Yeah. And no, mine works because I did 2 chairs.
Oh, Jane, I'm sorry. That wasn't
Yeah.
Christina saying
Yeah.
that.
oh, Christina, bless your
Well,
heart.
I love that. I've spent hours detangling yarn.
I had one that was so bad, my husband had to help me with detangling it, and it was fingering weight yarn that was very expensive.
Oh,
And so then I went out and bought myself a yarn swift and a ball winder.
Yeah.
And so now I get these nice cakes.
Yeah.
instead.
I just called my local yarn shop and asked them, if I pay you some money, can you please do the other skeins for me? So
Absolutely.
did they agree?
they said it depends who's at the shop.
Oh,
Because some
Oh,
want to
And
screw
how
up
busy they are.
out there.
You know, I have a tip for you all. If you go on Ravelry, there's a group called Yarn Wranglers, and there's these absolute angel saints. You find one in your area, they will untangle your yarn. They're volunteers.
Oh my
No
gosh.
way.
I can't believe that people volunteer to do this, but there are people that do.
That's amazing.
yeah.
My
My
snake is like
granddaughter's puppy got a hold of my skein of yarn. So it was all the way across the house. I wanted to just throw it away, but it was too expensive.
Well, there's some of us that
Wow.
actually like to untangle yarn, and I have to say that it can be very soothing to
It's
to untangle.
rewarding. Yes,
Yeah,
it's such
yeah,
a reward.
that is soothing. Okay, Carla, you have your hand raised. Did you mean to?
she might still be on mute.
She is on mute.
Oh.
Unmute, honey.
I think maybe she accidentally.
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I
No,
apologize.
no,
I raised it
that's,
this way.
that's quite all right. Okay, Lisa. Lisa's got her hand raised. Ask to unmute. You do need to unmute.
You should have a-
Awesome. Thank you.
Uh,
Pam, have you had anybody do this pattern in the round?
God, yeah, I was trying to get to your question there. I'm trying to remember.
I can tell you what I'm thinking and you tell me if you think this makes sense, okay? So I've done the garter stitches on the back and I'm working on the first couple of rows of the in pattern. The way I've measured it, it looks like I need to do 5 rows to get me 2.5 inches because I know the back has to be 2.5 inches longer than the front. Then I was going to cast on the garter rows of the front. Then I was going to join it all and try to do it in the round until I get to where you start doing the sleeve decreases. Then I would split for sleeves,
see me
knit the
again?
front flat, knit the
Here,
back
Lisa.
flat, and do a 3 needle bind off on the shoulders. Does that
There's
seem like
only-
it works to you?
There's only one problem with that, and that is this has a slit for 7.5 inches. So what you'll need to do
Okay.
is you'll have to knit up to here before you join.
Okay, so I've got to go 7.5 inches before I join.
Yeah, or
Okay.
I forget. We're gonna have you check
Yeah,
to see the
you're right,
exact
because there's a
on the-
place, there's a place where it tells you to put a marker. So I'm sure
Yes,
that's
yeah.
where it is.
Yeah.
So I'd
So
need
if
to
you
go
if you
until
knit
the
this
marker.
up, if you knit this up to a certain spot and this up to a certain spot, then you can join there. and start knitting in the round. Yeah, absolutely can.
Okay.
There is one thing that I would add to that, and that is I personally wouldn't do it in the round, because often a sweater is designed to be seamed specifically because the seams will keep the sweater from twisting and bagging and sagging, that stiff seam. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm not saying don't do it, and I'm not saying
But
that it
you
won't
think
work.
the design element of this sweater needs that structure of the seam along the sides?
If you're, for me, I would think, because it's cotton and all of these things, that yes, I would want that structure. But if you are like, you know, you want to give it a try, and you're interested in experimenting, and you feel like going, and you're like, well, if this one doesn't work out, I'll get some more yarn and I'll make, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
There are different ways to approach it. So depending on what you have in your mind, just know it might not, it might bag and sag more.
Okay. The only other question that I have for you is, when I went on Ravelry and looked at a lot of the project pages, a lot of people talked about the length of the sweater. I was putting it up against a tank that I have here at the house that I like the length of, and was going to take a couple of inches out of the middle of it. Do you see any problems with that? Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Nope.
That's been extremely helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Okay, let me see if there are any questions that I have missed here I haven't had time to read the.
Yeah, if I would like to add, I definitely agree that this sweater will probably need more structure, and that's why they have the side seams. If you hate purling and that's why you want to do it in the round, then you can do a crochet slip stitch up the side where the seam would be to add that structure. So I would just do it flat, but if you really hate purling, then that is a workaround.
Good point, Bonnie. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, you can.
Yeah, you'll laugh. It's not that I hate purling, it's that I hate seaming.
Yeah.
If you don't mind crocheting a slip stitch, then that would work for that too.
Yeah.
So Barb also asked about the knitting in the round. Did that answer your question, Barb, as well? Barb?
Where's Barb?
Maybe she's gone. Oh, not sure. Okay.
I can still use circular needles. That's not necessary. That doesn't mean I'm knitting in the round.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I knit
Okay.
circular. I use circular needles for absolutely everything I knit. I never knit on straight needles ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Ever. Okay, so will we still be able to access the YouTube video of this Zoom even if we were present? Absolutely. I will post the link, or you can just go to YouTube and look up the Dizzy Knitter and subscribe to the channel. And you'll know then when I post it. I'll try to get it up tonight. Sometimes I don't get it up until the next day. And at this point, they're just gonna, these knit alongs are free. They're something that I want, I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy the meeting all of you and talking through these different little tips. It makes me happy. And so they're free, and I just want to continue doing that and leave them up for anyone who can appreciate them or enjoy them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
then,
When we reply to support at Dizzy Knitter, are you the person that gets all those questions?
no, I'm just too big there's just too many questions. And so it used to be back in the day when I first started the company, it was, but no, now I have customer support people who help me.
And I have to say they're very prompt. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. We try to do everything within 24 hours. And we try to, not make any mistakes. Once in a while, they might not know, a little subtle answer to something, and they might make a mistake, but we're all human, and I hope that there's good understanding for the fact that, we're not perfect, but we try. We try. Okay, let me switch you here to somebody wanted to measure, to show the measuring. So here's the swatch, and I wish it were bound off. It would be a little easier. But once you have your swatch, then count out 12. Oh, well, this doesn't work very well because I've got things to drop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to count double because I've got too many stitches on there. So 12 to 12, there's 12 stitches, and there's my 4-inch gauge.
That's a pretty neat measuring tool. Where can I find that?
Well, you can find that on our shop. They've been back ordered for a while, and within the next probably 2 to 4 days, they will be back in stock. So we just got a shipment, and it's on its way to us right now. It's called the Easy Peasy gauge, and it's just lovely. You can see through, and it's slightly magnified, so that if you're doing fingering. I don't have any fingering stitches right here. Here, let's see, maybe I have something smaller that you can see. I don't know, can you see how that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
magnified?
Oh, yeah.
So you
I
can
have one
count.
of those. It's great.
That's
Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And then what stitch do you recommend to attach the front and back together? The mattress stitch, and I will have that. My sweater will be finished by the next time we meet, and I will hopefully have created a video from when I did mine so that I can show. Actually, I'll be out of town. I just remembered that week, so I will be doing a knit along from the road. So I won't have my camera set up, so I will have it videoed so that I can show you a video of how I stitched it up with the mattress stitch. And yes, Helen, chatting on Facebook and pictures help, absolutely. Join the group. I love all the help that you give each other. I can't be in there 100% of the time, but absolutely. YouTube is great. Yeah.
Will you be able to help us with the neckline and how to do that? The
Pick up
dropping
the
of the stitches
stitches.
and joining it?
Yeah. I want to video all of that when I get to it myself, which I will in the next few days. I want to video it so that next time we meet, I can just play the video since I won't have my camera.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, picking up stitches, I anticipate might be slightly particular. I don't want to even say tricky, but we're going to want to do it very carefully because it could get messy with with so many holes. It's easier when you have something that's knit tightly. Excuse me, you can find your stitches easier, but to pick it up neatly along the edge, I'm anticipating that it's going to have to be done carefully. So I do want to show you how to do that. And if this is your first sweater, your first garment, or even if it's your first anything that you've knitted, give yourself grace and know that it's not going to look maybe exactly like you aspire it to look this first time. You've had fun knitting it. and you're going to knit another thing, and you're going to knit another thing, and things are going to start looking better and better. So I just want to encourage everybody who's a beginner to not be afraid to try, to not be afraid to fail, to make things up, to ask questions. You know, all of those things are completely allowed.
Okay.
And Christina, yes, it's the Facebook page is called The Dizzy Knitter, and I've got it open right here. I can put the link in the chat.
That was a big sigh.
Yeah. Yeah, here I am. Still.
So who was the lady that was having trouble getting the pattern to drop down, and somebody thought it was because the purl stitch was too tight? Who has she
Me.
left?
No, it was me. The other Lisa.
Lisa, you how are you doing now? Have you tried some more?
Yeah, I tried it again and it looks better.
Do you mind showing us?
Well, I have since ripped out.
Oh, okay.
Whoever has ripped off their cast off 5 times, I think that's like
Me.
normal. Okay, well, I'm not
Oh,
even
really?
counting.
Now it's 7.
Oh,
I read something that someone said, you're still knitting. So
Right. I
Yeah.
may still be knitting next week too.
I missed some yarn forward, so I started over. But I did have a part that looked more like yours, Pam. So
Okay, excellent.
Progress.
a little tighter, which means I probably need bigger needles, but
Helen, it looks like you have the same color that I'm knitting. Is that correct? Yes. Oh, this color is just delicious, isn't it?
Somebody has that beautiful blue that's in the picture that
Yeah.
that y'all ran out of. Oh,
Yeah,
I know it's
wanted
back.
that.
It's back ordered. In fact, I asked yesterday.
no, but it's a different
And they
blue.
said 2 or 3 weeks that it might be coming in, but it's been back ordered all this time. I do have more coming in probably about 5-6 days of some of the other colors that aren't back ordered. But
Yeah. There's another blue that's very nice. It's the one I'm doing. It's darker than the picture.
Yeah, like a
But I just-
cornflower.
Yeah, that's the cornflower. That's very nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. It's almost like a French blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, if my first one turns out, I'll be doing a cornflower.
There you do. There you go. There you go. I like the
I-
whirlpool as well.
I am anxiously waiting for my yarn. I ordered it, but it hasn't come in yet. So
Oh, okay. Well, let's see where
I'm
it is.
Victoria, V Morand, but I'm Victoria.
Victoria. Let's see if I can see where yours is.
Yeah, I ordered it in turquoise because there weren't too many colors left. So
Yeah, we're getting more in of
Yeah.
some of the colors, but some are back ordered.
so right now I'm just
So-
learning to stitch with some yarn I had on hand. So just practicing it.
Oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
still waiting the tracking number is still waiting to get updated by the post office.
Yeah, it says it's sitting in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it
Mm.
probably, well, 16, yeah, it's probably at the post office sitting there waiting to get sorted is my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it'll be there.
It'll come.
It'll be there. If anybody has any problems, we're more than happy to help. Problems with needing your pattern link again, your pattern download link again, or any of those kinds of issues, send a message to support. I really don't do support other than knitting support in the Facebook group. So support@tdknitter.com is what to email if you have any, where's my package, or I need another color, I need another skein of this dye lot, or those kinds of questions. Yes, Susan.
When I when I look at lay mine out, it seems like the garter stitch portion is just a little bit, not smaller, but it's a little bit tighter than the rest. Will I be able to fix that when I block it?
You want it to be that way because
Okay.
it's going to kind of create some structure there, you know, at the
Okay.
bottom of your sweater. And that's another reason why there's that little bit of a slit, so that,
Yeah.
you know, it has room to, no,
Okay.
you want it to be that way.
I have a question looking forward to when the sweater is finished. It
Yes.
looks to me as though perhaps the model in the pattern is wearing a tank top or something underneath it. And it seems to me that it's loose enough that it would be more comfortable that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually found, I was online shopping one day, and I actually found a camisole that was exactly this color. I mean,
Oh, no.
oh, I bought it so fast.
Yeah. I think LL Bean has a cotton thin strap tank top that is just the right color to go underneath the cornflower.
Right. I mean, a contrast would be nice. And also I thought of ordering just a flesh colored one too, and that would look pretty as well. So just kind of whatever, you know, look that you'd like to have.
Yeah.
Hi, Yvonne. Do you have any questions? You're good?
You pretty much answered the questions because I haven't started. I do have the cornflower and I love it. So at the beginning of this, I wound it up while I was listening to you.
Beautiful.
And I'm just gonna no, because I was curious about the gauge over pattern, but you answered that really well. And actually, this is kind of okay. So I've been asked before because I do knit continental, and I will throw with my left finger. But what I have been asked is, so I will put my needle in to go knitwise. I'll go from the left of the front leg into it, and I have been asked if I'm doing a Turkish stitch in knitting, if it's a Turkish stitch, if I'm making any sense to you. Because I was told that it looks like my knit stitch is twisted.
Oh, it could be that you need to, if you're knitting continental, very similar to the way I'm knitting continental, you probably flick the yarn a little differently, but you know, with your left finger, because I kind of use my whole, if you're doing that, you have to, when you purl that way, it causes your stitch to be twisted to where I am knitting through I have to knit then through the back leg to orient my stitch correctly.
When I purl, here's the back needle. When I purl, I do take my right needle into the front leg. So I'm not purling behind here, I'm purling in front.
Yes, you purl in front, and then it's the way you're wrapping the yarn that's going to cause the yarn to be here. Let me
so I don't know if so I thought you were supposed to, when you knit continental, and I thought you were supposed to throw the yarn or wrap the yarn anti-clockwise.
I don't think there's a supposed to. I think that's part of it. It's whatever works for you know, whatever works for you.
As long as that stitch lays flat.
Yeah, as long as you're knitting through the edge that keeps your so here I am. My yarn is in the front.
Exactly.
And I'm going through the front. Yeah. And then I am dodging it in like that.
That's how I do it.
Okay. And so by doing that, oh, here's one of those twisted stitches where the yarn over is over the,
Yes. Yeah.
so you just
Yeah,
pull it
I
like
get
that.
those because I'm knitting a pair of socks right now
Yeah.
that have a yarn over.
So
Okay.
let's keep doing this for a minute, and then I'll turn in the middle of the row so you don't have to suffer through the whole row.
Oh no, it's very cathartic to watch you knit. And it does help me get the pattern down.
Yes. Okay. So
'Cause I'm not a experienced knitter. I consider myself a beginner. I've only been knitting for a couple of years, and I've done like 5 pairs of socks and a sweater.
oh, that's great. So
Wow,
now
that's
you see, let me get more in the middle here. Let me get my
Uh-huh.
camera down to where we need more light. Okay.
If you do socks, you're more than a beginner knitter.
Yeah, yep,
I agree.
But you
Yes.
know,
Thank
and
you.
there are many things you can do, complicated things, and yet need help with things that other people already know. There's no straight line into learning. I just, and nobody needs to feel bad for not knowing something. You know what I mean? So, okay, so doing the purl the way that I did causes my
Yes.
stitch to be oriented like this, like it is,
Yeah.
which means that
Yes.
I can't go through the front because I will twist my stitch. I need to go through the back loop here
To knit it.
to get my stitch reoriented correctly.
Okay. Because I'll do something crazy like take that, slip it onto my other needle, flip it around.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Okay,
Just
so
knit through the back. I'm running out of thread here because I broke it off too short.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it's oriented because of the way we knit, and it's not right or wrong. It's just we're knitting continental, and I think there are different ways to knit continental, and there are different ways to purl. Like for instance, there's a way to purl that's like this. Let's see if I can do it.
Oh yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, there.
You lost me.
And I
no, we won't be doing that.
I've done that quite a bit, and I kind of like it. And it does not cause my stitches to be twisted wrong. Now when I knit, I will knit through the front because I did a different type of purl stitch.
So the way you did that purl stitch, though, actually, well, I'm thinking of it, it almost looks like the long tail cast on.
Well, it's it keeps you from having to move the yarn from the front to the back, from the back to the front. So when I'm ribbing, this is how I do it, because that way I'm not switching my yarn from the back to the front. You put your needle in.
I do find with the arthritis in my hands,
grab it and then pull it through. And it gets to be just a real easy, and I can't do anymore because I ran out of the yarn, but
no, because you're out of yarn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, because I do find with the arthritis that I have in my hands and my wrists, less throwing helps me.
So yeah.
So but yeah, and then let me see what else. The long tail cast on, I do the garter stitches on the edges, yes. I think you answered the questions that I had, and just listening to everybody else helped too. So but thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, Yvonne.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm making socks for Mother's Day, so one project at a time.
Sweet. Oh, that's very sweet. Very sweet. Socks are
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Yes. How about anyone else. Does anybody else have any last minute questions? And remember, you can always ask in the Facebook group as well. What time is it? I've kind of lost track of time here.
I don't have a question, but I did have a comment for those people who are watching.
Yes, Cindy.
I do the same thing that you do, Pamela, is that I have a little bit of garter on the bottom and then running up the sides and along the top. And I was told the reason to do that, not only does it look good, but it keeps the edges from curling.
Mhm.
So that when you're measuring, you have a flat surface.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just
absolutely.
wanted to add that little bit of info. It's
I
more
doubt
than
this pattern will
pretty.
curl though, but yes, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing stockinette, it gives you nice, neat little swatches that lay flat, and you know, you can block and measure more accurately. Absolutely. Well, if there are no more questions, maybe we'll say goodbye for today, and you guys are going to see me on the road next time, and I'll be happy to see where everybody is at that time, and be sure to post in the Facebook group. And if you get stuck or anything like that, be patient. If I miss a little bit of time being there, I hang on and I'll be there. Yes, can you let's see. Learned a lot, Andrea. Very nice. Very nice. I'm really happy. I just love to do these little bonuses for everybody, and I hope everybody had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
You're so welcome. We'll see you
Thank
next
you,
time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.